all I got on Atlanta. Well, you want to move to Boston?
Yeah, I don't think I have another note on it. Atlanta. So Boston, the Boston Celtics buy, sell, or hold. I'm hoping for
I
some
think
spice right now.
I don't know. Well, so I'm going to equivocate a little bit again. I think they're a seller ultimately, and that's got as much as anything. It's got to do with their tax situation. They're 2.8 million over the line, and there's just like the way to get under it is very obviously to move Dennis Schroder. It doesn't seem like they're interested in or have the ability or desire to sign him in free agency or to re-sign him for whatever he might be worth. So that's the move. You get under that way. I think John Hollinger has floated, just pay a team $1 million to take Bruno Fernando, and that probably gets you there too. There's other ways to do it. But like Smart, Richardson, and to a greater extent, Smart could bring back real value if you want to do more serious shakeup. But the bottom line for me is just they want to get under the tax. Not that hard to do. They're kind of a middling team, but sort of a ton of teams in the East are a middling team right now. I would love to see them take a swing for a third, big star, but that doesn't. They got to wait out the Al Horford thing, and I just don't see that being realistic. So I think they just trim a little bit this deadline and go into the offseason and see what they can do then.
I'm with you again, except I think they should and maybe will operate more starkly as sellers outside of the let's just duck the tax, which could be done. There's any number of ways. You already mentioned like you can move Bobo and Bruno Fernando. There's also what are they going to do with PJ Dozier? That's like kind of a nice flyer, even though he's not going to play again this season and probably not at the start of next year and is entering free agency this summer. I just think I mentioned with I can't even remember which Dallas, where it felt like they needed this organizational cleanse around Luka and KP. It feels the same way in Boston. And you keep Robert Williams III because I can't believe they got him on such a cheap extension. He's also tough to move without the extension kicking in just yet. I'm looking at moving every single person after that. Like, is there someone who's really interested in? I'm still intrigued by Romeo Langford. I'd be kind of intrigued by Peyton Pritchard. The Smart thing is interesting. If you are moving Smart, is it as part of a sell job? Because you should be able to duck. I would say you should be able to save between 3.5 and 4 million rather easily in any Smart deal, and that will safeguard you against. I think people have talked about if Jaylen Brown gets his unlikely bonus money, you still want to make sure you're under the tax. Are you willing to make that type of a play though? And if you're not with Smart, just because you consider him such a core player both on and off the court, I do believe you should do it with Richardson. Then he's been good. But like there have been games where neither he nor Grant Williams, another guy, because he's going to be extension eligible, you might as well look at moving him and see what you could get. But they've been Boston's two best shooters, and I've seen close games at Boston where neither one of them are just in the crunch time lineup. And so is that an Ime Udoka problem? Is that the way that the Celtics they feel like they need to play some of these bigger names anyway? I think that with Josh Richardson owed 12.2 million next year, I don't know if he net you a first on his own. I would give up a lower level first for Josh Richardson. I think a lot of people would disagree with that, but that's someone I'm looking to move. And if I am moving Smart, like I said, if you can get like a first and a player, or maybe even Boston views it as getting out from under his extension, which is, again, I don't have a feel for his value, but I would think you should be able to get a first round pick and like youngish type player for someone like him still, just because of how much of a game changer he is defensively. And I do think losing him would hurt because you mentioned this about seeing them trade for a bigger name. They need like a floor general, another type of playmaker, and in addition, excuse me, to some lights out shooting and even rim pressure. Smart leads them in assists this year. Like if you trade him, like there needs to be like supplemental passing coming back as part of that deal too. Or maybe you just decide to keep Schroder at that point, knowing that he's just going to walk over the summer. I don't know necessarily the combination of players you move, but like you said, they are going to duck the tax, and I would be looking at moving every single person not named Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown because you're okay. You're not even good this season, and you're not on the precipice of contention. Really, you feel one or two very significant players short of rejoining that tier of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I think that's right. And look, it's like it's not a bad situation really because you've done the hard part. You've got those two guys, and as long as you're confident that you can find the playmaking around them and get the ball to quit sticking, I mean the Celtics defense is awesome. So like it's not like they're that far away. They just need to get to like I don't know 15th in offense, like whatever. That's plenty. And then you're right back to like, well, this is now a team that could make what would it be, like the fourth conference finals with that they've been able to make with Brown and Tatum. So I mean, they're not that far off. It just you've got those two guys. You gotta tinker around the edges a little bit. But I don't think now's the time to try to make those additions.
I think we both agree the most likely player to be traded is Dennis Schroder on this
For
team.
sure.
You could go a
For
different
sure.
route for the tax, but I think it's him. Who would have been your most likely player to be traded for Atlanta?
That's really hard. I think
Is it Gallo? Just because I felt like it was Gallo plus 2 firsts was just the package that was floated for pretty much everything. I might be willing to go, but he's been too good. I just thought because he was an expiring contract, like could they do something with DeLon Wright? I would have picked Cam Reddish, but he's gone.
you would have been right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it just depends on because Gallo's your ticket to like something a little more serious. I think potentially, in terms of like getting a bunch of salary coming back. I guess I'd probably pick someone like Jang just because, I guess that's kind of the coward's way out. But like he's super expendable, and if you're gonna throw together some expiring salaries for something, he's almost definitely gonna be involved in that. So I was just playing the odds on that.
I'm going to step out on a limb here. I'm not saying John Collins. I'm just going to say that Bogdan Bogdanovic is the most likely player to be moved.
Why do you say that?
The idea of him is still really valuable to teams. He has not been great this year, and he's had missed time. We know that. But his salary is lower than Gallo's. He is still younger than Gallo. He's not young enough to be viewed as a prospect, but having him for 2 more years at 18 million a pop, because he's probably picking up his player option right now, I think some teams probably view that as a little bit of an asset, or it's just a nice matching tool where I think it might appeal because I'm just looking at teams and I'm like, what team wants to just get off of Gallo's money next year to save them? Like, what is the contract Atlanta's taking back? Who is that close to cap space that wants to use it this summer to just pay him $5 million to go away? And so Bogdanovich at 2 years and $36 million left. If you buy into the idea of his secondary playmaking, he's probably also someone who's not as bad. He's part of your perimeter defensive problem if you're in Atlanta, but he's over his career has not been as bad defensively as I think a lot of people would think when you just look at trying to stay in front of some guys. So I'm just going to say him. I know he has a trade bonus, so maybe that complicates things. But if I'm a team, like if I'm Detroit, to be honest with you, I'm going to be more intrigued by Bogdanovich plus picks for Jeremy Grant than I am by Gallinari plus picks for Jeremy Grant.
Oh, I agree with that. I would say I was looking this up to make the opposite point and like kind of drag Bogdanovich a little bit, because he was supposed to come in and fix the Trae Young off the floor minutes. The Hawks actually score fine when he's on the floor without Trae. They're at 113.7 points per 100 possessions. That's in the 74th percentile in those minutes. There have not been very many of them at all. But maybe I don't know. Yeah, he has a lot of value. I think he fits pretty much anywhere because his skill set is just like he's a combo guard that doesn't kill you on defense when he's engaged and can shoot. So it's like, yeah, I mean, definitely. That's why you want to keep him too, though, I would think.
I guess if you're not getting someone like Jeremy Grant's not helping you with the non-Trae minutes offensively. I mean, I guess maybe he has some ball skills, but that's why you wouldn't want to give him up if the offense is respectable during that time.